I'm going to tell you this the way it felt, not the way a neat little headline would write it. Because that night outside the Mercer Gate with the ocean down below, and the wind cutting through my thrift store blanket, I honestly didn't think I'd see morning. I was just a girl with a backpack and a busted plan. And then headlights slowed, a door clicked, and a man said, "Hey," like he was asking for directions, not deciding my life. His name was Ethan Mercer, Glass House on a Cliff, the kind of place where the floors look like you could skate on them. But his voice wasn't cold, it was steady, careful, the way you talk to a skittish dog. He bent down and said, "You're freezing, let me help." And before I could argue, he lifted me like I weighed less than the math that had sunk me that day. Eviction at 5 hours cut at the hotel bus card. Dead, you know what I mean? One thing bumps the next, and suddenly you're the human domino at the end of the line. He carried me past the iron gate and through a foyer that could hold a church up the stairs, into a guest room with cream walls and a bed that felt like a cloud. Had a backbone pulled off my tired sneakers, tucked the blanket, took the chair by the window like a soldier on watch, and I was out, and I mean out, because sometimes your body clocks you out when you won't do it yourself. Sunlight woke me and panic got there a second later. I sat up too fast, clutched the blanket. Saw him still in that chair in last night's shirt tie, loose hair, a little wrecked, hands up like easy. "It's okay," then the words tumbled. "Who are you? Where am I? What did you do?" And he said, "I'm Ethan. This is my home. All I did was carry you in so you wouldn't freeze. You're safe. I stayed right here." And the way he said it, took a knife out of the air, made it breathable, made me feel human again. "Lena." I said, "My name is Lena Brooks, and I'm sorry about your gate." He laughed under his breath. The kind of laugh that lets you keep your dignity, said, "My gate will survive." And then he asked, the three words that, honest to God, changed the weather in my chest. "You hungry?" And I tried to wear my pride like armor told him. "I don't take handouts." And he grinned cool. "Then do me a favor, help me eat, so Mrs. Perez doesn't scold me for letting good food go to waste." And somehow that logic made sense, like he'd shifted the ground half an inch so I could stand on it. The kitchen was sunlight and marble, and a little messy in the corners. That matter a handwritten note by the fruit bowl that said, "Pick up sea salt," and that small human thing saved me from drowning in the perfection. We ate fruit and pastries that tasted ridiculous, and I talked with my mouth slow, said, "Hotel, downtown, housekeeping, shifts, community college, one class at a time till rent, and buses ganged up. Parents gone to a winter freeway, they didn't come back from an aunt in Ohio who stretched her checks like gum." And he didn't tilt his head, like pity, he nodded. Like listening as a job, told me about his logistics company, without the dollar signs, about a dad who taught him to split wood, and also split people's confidence if they got soft, about a sister Sabine sharp and protective, who loved him like a bodyguard loves a paycheck. When I stood to go to face the road that didn't want me, he said, "Wait, hear me out." And I almost ran, because that sentence has never been followed by good news in my life. But he set it down like a contract, not a rescue. "I need help with the house, too many rooms. Mrs. Perez is here 3 days. I travel, it gets lonely. West Wing, suite, real salary. Your own key, your own door, no strings. Keep your hotel job if you want references from staff. A written agreement. If that helps, and I swear to you, no blurred lines," he said. "Blurred lines like a man who knew where the cliffs were and didn't want me anywhere near them." Practicality tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is a raft stop, arguing with the rope." I looked him in the eye, asked for duties, schedule, boundaries. We shook hands. I said, "Professional," he said, "Absolutely." And that's how the house woke up, one room at a time. In that West Wing suite, I let myself cry in the bathroom, where the tile could handle the salt. Then I went to work, labeled the pantry, because chaos steals hours from poor people, and I wanted them back. Left him a note, "Your cereal is not a family heirloom," and he circled it with a smiley face and actually threw the box out. I brought in flowers from the garden, because glass needs something living to keep it honest. And at night, he'd come home looking like spreadsheets, had teeth, and we'd talk the weather first. And then the weather, under the weather, like how money can be a volume knob that drowns out your gut, like how a guest at the hotel snapped her fingers at me. And I smiled, while every muscle I own asked for permission to scream, and we weren't in love. We were two people slowly setting our armor down because it's heavy. One evening, the sky turned into watercolor, and we wandered into the garden fountain, humming air smelling like rosemary and ocean. He pointed at a crooked line of stars and said, "That one is yours, because only you would reorganize a galaxy." And I rolled my eyes so hard, I almost saw last Tuesday, then silence the humming kind, his hand warm on my cheek like a question. And I didn't move away, and the kiss wasn't fireworks. It was a door unlocking inside my ribs. Yeah, that happened. Morning brought fear, like a tax. I made coffee like I was in boot camp. Precise, no eye contact. He leaned on the counter and said, "We should talk." I said, "We don't have to." It didn't mean anything. And he said it meant everything to me, but listen. Your job and your room are yours no matter what. I won't use your stability as leverage ever. And my heart took a step back from the ledge. We agreed to slow, to careful, to no headlines, no assumptions, just two adults figuring it out without breaking me in half. Happiness is loud. It draws attention. Sabine showed up one afternoon when Ethan was out swept in like a weather front in a silk trench, found me in the study. Sorting invoices took me in from cardigan to rubber band, and let that little smile curl that rich people use when something smells like not them. "And you are," she said, "household manager," I said. "May I help you? Where is Ethan?" she asked. "Like I kept him in a drawer at the office," I said. She strolled to the desk, tapped a nail on the new filing system. "You know, my brother collects projects. Sometimes they have a heartbeat. They smile pretty and make him feel needed. Then remember, they prefer diamonds to dish soap." And I felt the heat climb my neck. But I kept my spine. "If you have concerns about my employment, you can raise them with Mr. Mercer," I said. And she smiled like a cat. "I am raising them, where it matters with you." I set the folder down. "If you speak to me again, like I'm a stain on your shoe, I will escort you to the door and wait with you on the porch until he gets home." Her eyes flashed. "You think you have power here. I know what I have. I set a job, a contract, and self-respect." She laughed. Sharp-tossed. "Harbor City is small, sweetheart. People talk, make sure you like what they say." And then she left the room smelling like expensive citrus and something mean. I went to the garden and counted waves until the anger shook out of my hands. Told Ethan when he got home, and he went very still. Kissed my forehead, said, "Stay here." And the next morning I heard the kind of quiet voices that can cut glass, he told her. "Sabine, this ends now. Lana is not your punchline. She's the person I love. If you can't treat her with respect, you don't step foot in my home." And she threw every word for gold and digging and naive in the dictionary. And he said, "The biggest mistake I could make is letting you bully. The best thing that's ever happened to me." Door silence, heartbeat. "Yeah, that happened too." We kept going. And if you want the twist, it isn't that he proposed, though he did by the fountain at golden hour, with a ring that looked like a star, decided to settle down. The twist is that love didn't fix the world. It didn't erase gossip or class, or that reflex people have to measure a person by their shoes. What it did was build a home where help isn't a chain, it's a hand. Where my office used to be a guest room that once held me safe, where Mrs. Perez cried at our small garden wedding, And Sabine came late, stood far back, then found me by the roses and said, "I was wrong, and I said that must have hurt." And she laughed for real and said it did. We made a life that looks soft from the outside and is anything but. I left the hotel on my terms and built a company that pays right and trains right and says no to finger snapping. Ethan learned that saying no to a deal can feel like saying yes to your own spine. We started a scholarship because I've seen what a bus pass and books can do. We had a daughter who yawns like the universe is boring and then smiles like she invented light. And still people judged online where courage is cheap in rooms where money chooses the volume. Someone wrote textbook, social climber. Someone else said, he saved her, she owes him everything. Remember your place and I won't lie. It stung, but the wound didn't rule me. So here's where I leave it with you, because tidy fairy tales make for bad conversations. If you drove up to your gate tonight and saw me curled there, would you keep driving, or would you stop? Would you call me reckless, or would you ask you hungry? And if your sister was Sabine, would you call it protection or prejudice? Tell me in the comments where you draw the line between kindness and naivety, what you think about power when it walks into a room wearing work shoes, and if you've ever been judged by your uniform or your zip code. Tell me what you did next. I'll be there reading, answering, and probably labeling the pantry while I do it.